Vagrant Story, the RPG about a homeless man who walks around collecting plastic cans. When I was a kid, I thought the main character in this game was a half man, half goat boy. Wait, well, half man, half goat man. I guess he would be a half man and half goat, but not half. Alright, this. You know those things, the satyrs, however you pronounce them. But it turns out he's neither of those. He's just wearing like shorts. Yeah, he's running around dungeons, hacking and slashing, fighting enemies, fighting demons, fighting giant monsters in shorts. And not the best choice for clothing. You would think maybe you'd want to wear a chainmail, perhaps some type of armor, even jeans. If I was to go into a dungeon to fight monsters, I would at least wear jeans so I wouldn't get blood all over my legs. But he's just running around in short shorts, below the knee, like was the style in the early 2000s. I mean, I'm not judging. It's a bad choice for clothing, but we've seen worse in video games. Lara Croft ran around in booty shorts. She literally ran around like soaking wet temples in booty shorts. She was just asking for us to look at that butt. She was just asking for it. Don't judge us for looking at her. Lara, if you don't want us to look at your butt, don't dress like that. Simple as that. If you want me to pay attention to you shooting a wolf in the face instead of your butt, don't wear such revealing clothing. Thank you. That's my idea for the next Tomb Raider game. Lara Croft in a hijab, a Muslim hijab, head to toe, the whole black dress. You can only see her eyes, cover the sinning parts of her body. So this is Vagrant's story. It is, by all accounts, one of the best RPGs ever made. I mean, it's a classic Square RPG, and Square is just the legend of RPGs in the mid 90s to early 2000s. Square came out with like all the best RPGs for the PS1. Parasite Eve, Final Fantasy Tactics, Chrono Trigger, Chrono Cross, I think Legend of Mana as well, Final Fantasy games. What I'm saying here is Square came out with like all the best RPGs, and this isn't any different. This is one of the best RPGs ever. It's not as popular, it's not as big, as well remembered as, say, Final Fantasy X or Final Fantasy IX, which came out around the same time, but it is one of the best RPGs ever. It's just so refined. It's such a well-made game. Everything in it is really, really good. I'm talking about both the combat and the story. It's really rare, especially for a game on the PS1, a game that was made in that era, for everything in the game to be good. Music, gameplay, and story. Most of the time, it'll be 2 out of 3 or 1 out of 3. A game will have a really good story, but the actual gameplay, if you really look at it, it's a little stiff. Character doesn't move right. There's glitches. You see this a lot in RPGs. In this game, the combat is smooth, perfect, tight. And then the story is great as well. And obviously, it's Square, so the OST is fantastic as well. The combat is kind of in the middle of turn-based and real-time hack and slash, in that you run around during combat. You can still run around, but once you're in the vicinity of the enemy, it goes into this move selection, and you get to choose how you're going to attack the enemy, and also what part of the enemy's body you're going to hit. And, you know, it depends on what enemy you're fighting, and what the percentage of their life you can take off. So it's good to mix up and hit enemies in different parts of their body to see where you can do the most damage. Well, most of the time I'll hit a guy straight in the face with my sword, which takes a couple of swings because it doesn't make sense. In real life, if you hit someone in the sword pretty hard or even slightly hard, they're dead. In this game, you gotta give 3 really good whacks into someone's face with a big sword until they're dead. Sometimes I'll hit someone's hitting arm, like if someone is carrying, say, a sword in their right arm, I'll hit that right arm. It's all very smooth, it works great, and you can customize your character with new weapons, new armors, new shields, all that sort of thing. I did find kind of a way to be cheap in the game, and that is to continually press the attack button right after you attack, and then you can continually attack over and over, and almost not let the enemy breathe. So it's like instead of attacking once, then it's the enemy's turn. Keep spamming that attack button, and you can go into the move selection screen over and over to the point where even some bosses are really easy to defeat. It's kind of a cheap tactic, but you know, if you want to get through the game, it works. If you just want to enjoy the game for the story, which is stupid for a game like this, because like I said, the combat is really fun. Another part of the game is the puzzle elements. The environments, you run around and you think it's more action oriented because you can climb and jump, but it really isn't. It's more about trying to figure out how to get into the next room, how to progress, and a lot of times that would mean putting boxes on top of each other, moving boxes around so you can climb to a specific place you couldn't otherwise climb, pull a lever, that sort of thing. There's a big puzzle element when running around the actual environments of the game, which is nice. It's not just running from point A to point B. One thing I don't like in games is when you're just continually running for no reason. Like you're running from point A to point B on a horse, on your legs, whatever. You can float, you can fly, but you're still just running there, and there's nothing in the middle. There's no gameplay. There's no thinking. It's just like holding forward. It's stupid, I think, in games. You can enjoy the scenery, maybe that's a good thing you can do. But I like games when moving from point A to point B has its own gameplay and has its own obstacles. It's very important, especially in RPGs. The story in this game is decent and it's surprisingly adult. There's like child murder in the game, which is something you don't see much in games from this era. In games from the era of Crash Bandicoot and Spyro, it's like right next to Spyro and Toys R Us, a game with a happy-go-lucky dragon that runs into sheep. You have a game where someone shoots a child in the heart. Okay, Billy, you get to choose two games. Okay, I want the game where the dragon flies around, and also that one game with infanticide. That's what I want for Christmas. Vagrant Story is a game that never really caught on. And it's not because it wasn't highly praised when it came out. As far as I remember, all the reviewers, all the people who actually played the game were saying nothing but great things about it. I don't remember a single bad thing said about the game. But it just wasn't like as popular as Final Fantasy or Chrono Cross or Chrono Trigger. And I think it's because this game is from the same publisher, from, like I said, Square. So people, when they're looking for Square games, they would first go to a Final Fantasy. They would go to a Chrono Trigger or Chrono Cross game. They would go to a game franchise that's already established, that people know about, that they know will be good. And I guess they just passed this one over, which is a shame because, like I said, this is one of the classic RPGs from that era. It's I guess in the vein of Parasite Eve, which is also has very adult themes. It's actually very similar to Parasite Eve, even though there's virtually nothing similar in the story. Like the stories take place in completely different worlds, completely different universe, but the combat is similar, the graphics are similar, and just the whole mood and feel are similar. They just have so much in common. Both games are by Square, and both games are just classic, fantastic RPGs, probably two of the best RPGs ever, but both were passed over for more popular RPG franchises like your Chrono Triggers and Final Fantasies and whatnot and whatevs. They should release Parasite Eve and Vagrant Story together in some kind of forgotten Square Games box set. The games from Square you've never played. The Red-Headed Stepchild box set from Square. The Jan Brady box set from Square Enix. Coming this fall to stores near you. The Elizabeth Olsen box set. The Tiffany Trump bundle. I can just keep going, but I won't. So yeah, if I were to recommend this game to anyone, it would be fans of Parasite Eve, another great RPG that was overlooked by more popular RPGs in the Square library. Overall, like I said, nothing bad to say about Vagrant Story. It's just an excellent game, an overall excellent game. I definitely recommend it if you're a PS1 buff like myself. It gets an official Stan Birdman rating of a 9.5 out of 10. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more videos. Support me on Patreon if you can. Goodbye, my friends.